Is there any player that burst on the scene at such a young age with a large scale of potential and talent like Marcus Rashford? Yet this modern day great of Manchester United is now diminishing more and more and seeing less first team action in the last 2 months whilst I'm recording this video to this very day. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even want to be in the first team anymore. But let me ask you the ultimate question of this video, the question that matters here. Has Manchester United failed on Marcus, or has Marcus failed on Manchester United in terms of lack of success at times? And that demand for success doesn't solely fall on Marcus, not at all. It's obviously a bigger picture than that. But let's try and figure this out and go to the beginning. Please make sure to also like and subscribe this video to show your support. That lad, like we said, bursting on the scene with huge potential at the age of 18, was catching promising eyes, performing well for the under-21 squad, and was going to make his debut in a Europa League match against FC Midtjylland in the round of 32 second leg. They were 2-1 down as well, and this was a newly desperate Man United side. They were figuring out that winning domestic cups alone was a challenge, let alone the league title, and they were winning with ease 10 years before this. But this night was special, and it gave academy players around the country hope with what they were about to see. We were all introduced that night to Marcus Rashford. He rescued them from an embarrassing exit out of the Europa League as he scored a brace in his Manchester United debut. And this itself is the start of a footballing fairy tale story, you know, a story we all want to see happen. Even if you're not a Man United fan, just a footballing fan, you want to see where this player is going to end up. You know, what kind of career is he going to have from this point onwards. As an England fan, it fills you with hope as you want to see this newcomer Marcus Rashford get better and better. If he's performing this well at the age of 18, what can he do when he's 25? Or what can he do when he's even 10 years older than that, you know, 28? You know, what are we going to get from this young kid? And maybe back then we were dreaming of him becoming the best in the world, but maybe we were also getting ahead of ourselves a little too. But all of a sudden for Manchester United, Marcus was becoming a beaming light of hope. You've got a natural talent that you've produced in your own youth academy rankings, and he's gave you a man of the match performance in a big game, a decisive game, a game that is at stake here. It just gives the club, and most importantly the fans, faith, you know, that they are at least doing something right at this period of time. They didn't need, you know, the full control of Sir Alex Ferguson in order to get this right. They done this by themselves without him. And something that I often think about, and I'm sure a lot of other footballing fans, particularly Man United fans, think about, is what kind of player would Marcus been, you know, if he had worked under the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson? You know, what kind of player could Sir Alex have pushed him to become? And we can think and talk about that for ages, but the introduction of Marcus Rashford was perhaps just one step in the right place, you know, to getting the old Manchester United back. In his first season with the first team, he scored 8 goals in 18 appearances at the age of 18. And then season after season, we saw more and more goals going in for the youngster. By the time he was 21 years of age, he had scored 45 goals for the club. 5 short of 50, you're still viable to play for the under-21s right now too. There was something special that was happening in here. And in your head, you're thinking, if everyone else at the club does their job right, you know, by the time that Marcus is 26, 27, 28, you know, your typical age of being at your peak as a football player, you know, this club could be 100% back to winning titles. But we're still waiting for that to happen right now. When I first saw Ruben Amorim had got the job, I thought there's a good agenda for Project Rashford to be on here. The Portuguese boss could get this fan favourite to become an even more fan favourite. Get him scoring as many goals as this man. At the start of December, I wanted to make a video about the two players, you know, how they're very like-to-like, very similar in the way they play, and how easy it would maybe be for Ruben Amorim to transform Marcus Rashford into the typical form that Victor Gyökeres had at Sporting CP. Like I said, the two are very similar in my opinion. There's pace there, there's also this good footwork, and there's this huge kind of main attraction in the two of them that they can score you goals. And I'm talking a high amount of goals, you know, game after game. We've seen that from Marcus before. We know that exists there. So I felt Ruben could certainly push Marcus into getting him back to his old typical, you know, good form that we saw a couple of seasons ago. The new manager has been trying to work out his players through little training time by experimenting with them in the league, and the cup games as well. And Rashford is being one of these players that's been experimented on. He's been exploited with different positions on the pitch. He's played centre forward, he's played left wing, he's played second striker. It's Ruben just trying to figure out things here. And it's healthy that he's doing that as well, you know, in order to know what works best for not just him, but for also the club. And during that time, Marcus has picked up a little bit of form. He had only scored one league goal before Ruben Amorim had arrived. But like I said, through a 3-4-3 style of play, very much a United side who put intense pressure on their opposition through this new tactical play that's been introduced from Ruben Amorim. We've seen Rashford scored 3 goals this season through using that. He suits the style of play, he's got pace, and he's got hunger for goals. In the Everton game, he picked up 2 goals, and the game ended with United winning 4-0, a typical Man United winning scoreline. The new manager was unbeaten in his first 2 league games. Yes, they were 2 teams fighting for survival this season, Ipswich and Everton, but next came a real test for Ruben in his early United tenure, Arsenal. And Rashford was dropped to the bench as Ruben Amorim felt more confident in Rasmus Haaland. Perhaps he'd picked up a bit of form in the training that they had, or just classic Amorim experimenting with the squad perhaps. Rasmus was going to be the one in this game to lead up front. And I do think there's still a sense of experimenting as well. But the real reason came from what we saw in the news headlines. And that was Rashford going out the night before the Everton game, which went against, pre-match rules that Ruben Amorim had set up. And in the Everton game, he did score 2 goals. But times are different now. This whole industry has changed big time. You know, investors and the main stakeholder being the fans are investing a lot of money. This is serious stuff. You do have to take things seriously, and Ruben Amorim knows that. That's why he dropped Rashford from the squad. I mean, Marcus earns 325k a week after all. And you do see the recent news seeing Marcus wants to leave. You know, he wants a new challenge elsewhere, and you kind of scratch your head and think, is this due to him not very much getting on with the new boss? You know, not liking the serious kind of tone that this Portuguese manager has set here. Ruben's trying hard to change the culture here at the club. No different to what Ange is doing at Tottenham. It's a tough culture, you know, and things are now going to become a challenge to get into the starting 11. And I think Marcus has realised that. But is this healthy, Marcus leaving? You know, a big name with the wrong mentality, perhaps? I'm not going to say that's true. But that's just from what we've seen in news headlines and what have you. Or should Ruben Amorim be trying harder to keep Marcus Rashford, an obvious fan favourite? Leave a comment down below and let me know about that one. And this is a player who should be able to live his life like any other player, but you do sadly feel he clocked out a long while ago from Manchester United. I don't understand why Erik ten Hag didn't deal with this whole Rashford thing a lot better. I mean, he did deal with the Ronaldo issue. That was all him, it seems. But it just didn't seem like he liked that kind of confrontation with Marcus Rashford. I think he could have dealt with it a lot better. However, Ruben seems to actually be handling it fine. Whether it is Rashford's decision to be leaving or not, Ruben Amorim has had the nerve to drop this Manchester United superstar from the starting 11. It is annoying and disappointing that it has come to this though. You know, you look at his incredible form in the 22-23 season. I remember the second half of the season, you know, we were in January 2023, scoring game after game almost, it felt. I mean, it was incredible what kind of goals we were getting out of him then. I don't think it's a lot to ask for to have that all the while, because it seems to me that Marcus is so inconsistent with his form. But you kind of think it's he's a top 6 player, an incredible amount of wage each week, playing for a big top 6 side, arguably the biggest side in the world. You know, can't you deliver that success, deliver that form week in, week out? I mean, you've got this guy racking in good numbers consistently each season. Why can't Marcus Rashford do it? Has that been the club failing to do that, or is it down to Marcus himself dropping form? It's hard to call. It's hard to call. And honestly, just analysing everything here, I genuinely think a poor attitude and a poor mentality from this lad has certainly played a part in seeing a drop of form. That isn't the Manchester United way. That's never been the Manchester United way for that kind of level of mentality. And can a new club mentality, wherever he goes, can a new club's mentality change his form and most importantly his attitude? But let's flip the coin here. You know, I said at the start of the video, has Marcus failed Manchester United, or has Manchester United failed Marcus. Let's think about that. The club could be at fault here. Have they been winning trophy after trophy and seen value out of the investments they've made in players' signings? Not as much as they should be. This is a club in frustration a lot of the time since Fergie left. There's been real high moments, but definitely more lows. It's a club who are wanting a winning routine, a routine that they were used to back in the day. You know, they're wanting the next Sir Alex Ferguson, but that seems to be rare these days. But it should be possible with the status of the club. The likes of Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola, who were and currently are still consistently at the club because they're doing the right things. They're getting the best out of their own players. It might not be the same duration as what Alex Ferguson was at Manchester United, but they're consistently there because they're doing things right. Even Thomas Frank at Brentford, he's been at Brentford for a long while because yes, they've been consistent form-wise, but also because they've given him time to establish himself as a manager, which is something that Man United struggle with. It's being patient. I said at the start of the video, their own search for success isn't down solely on Marcus Rashford's performance each week. It's a whole group issue. During Rashford's time at Manchester United, he's seen new ownership, he's seen plenty of new managers, he's seen new sporting directors, and no settled system for the club. Who can actually blame him for wanting to leave? You know, this club has been as inconsistent as his form a lot of the time. I will always look at any topic in every single angle possible. Yes, his attitude has been poor at times, but I do think there's a case here that this club has failed to make him a one-club legend. And we do need to consider has a drop of form only been caused due to the functionality of the club, you know, this constant change all the time. And change is only introduced because it's purely needed. Well, a lot of the time it's needed anyway. He said he wants a new challenge, speaking to journalist Henry Winter, and admitted he'll always be a Man United fan. He will say goodbye when it comes to it in his own way, coming from him. Right now, recording this video, it's the 10th of January 2025 and Marcus is looking to exit the club. A move to Italy is on. Perhaps AC Milan or Juventus and even West Ham are looking to maybe sign him. Personally, I want him to leave to try and find his form again. You know, that same form that we saw 2 years ago. It's fine to want a new club after having this one club for your whole life. We're seeing a move from Trent sooner or later down to him wanting change. Change is healthy. You only get one playing career after all. Rashford is, like I said, a modern day Manchester United legend. He's one of the best English players perhaps to play to this current date. One of the best in the modern times anyway. He's lost his touch in the last year or two, but he's still wanting to have a career. You know, that same Marcus Rashford, that same ability, that natural ability, that is still all within him. And if you are a Man United fan, I don't think you can hold a grudge at Rashford whatsoever. But there is an element to think about here. Could he have had a better form through having a better attitude, through having a better mentality? Although this is steered and supported from the higher ups, the manager, the coaching staff, and overall actions from the owners. If you don't want to see me look into Ineos, the current ownership at Manchester United, what I think of their ownership so far, then please like and subscribe to show your support for that one. Marcus Rashford, what could have been this epic fairy tale footballing hero storyline, has that time ran out now? Will we ever see, you know, his story come to an end in a positive light? Time will tell. There's obviously a player still there, and as an England fan, I'm eager to see what he can do next. I'm Rob from the Footy Agenda. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.